Hey, is he taking a selfie? Hey everybody, okay, I know I shouldn't have done that. I should have given that guy some privacy, but I just like trolling whenever I have a phone with a super zoom camera. So this is the Oppo Find X2 Pro, and after using multiple phones the last few months, I've ultimately gone back to this as my daily driver, and that says a lot because we just saw a flurry of phones get released. There's Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, Huawei P40 Pro, Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro, Huawei Mate XS, OnePlus 8 Pro, and I've tested all of them already, and ultimately my SIM card is back in the Oppo Find X2 Pro. It is my daily driver. The reason for that is because I just think this is the most well-rounded phone of all the devices I just mentioned. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, the autofocusing issue is still there, and I actually think the palm rejection on that phone is pretty bad. Now I use a phone without a case, and the edges of my palm just keep rubbing into the S20 Ultra, which is ironic considering that screen actually curves less drastically than on the Oppo Find X2 Pro, but Samsung software is just not all the way there. Now Huawei P40 Pro, I love that phone's hardware, but as you already know, there's a pretty major problem with Google compatibility, so that puts the Oppo Find X2 Pro ahead. Now I gotta be honest, if the P40 Pro didn't suffer from the Google problem, I would probably like the P40 Pro the best for now. The Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro is also an excellent phone, but I think ultimately the Oppo Find X2 Pro's camera is just a little bit more capable. So I've already done several videos on this phone when it first got announced over a month and a half ago, so this is not going to go over all the specs. This is more like my final conclusion after using this phone for over a month and a half. Now some of you guys may notice that during my initial hands-on, I had the orange leather unit, and now this is obviously not orange. That's because I personally am not a big fan of the color orange. I just wanted something darker, and Oppo is kind enough to swap units for me. So I have here the deep gray or black ceramic unit, and I like this feel a lot. It's very dense in the hand. The ceramic back does not attract fingerprints as badly as a Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, and overall I just like the look of this phone. This deep gray ceramic vibe really gives it like the feeling of like a black slab when you have the phone on top of a table, especially since the screen, it's an OLED panel, so it's completely black. It just looks like one piece of like black gemstone when it's like lying flat on a table. Now we'll go over the specs really quickly. Snapdragon 865, 6.7 inch Quad HD display that refreshes at 120 Hz, and unlike the S20 Ultra, you can keep the refresh rate at 120 Hz while keeping Quad HD resolution. You have a triple camera system on the back, headlined by a 48 megapixel main camera, a 48 megapixel wide angle camera, and a 12 megapixel periscope zoom lens. Now I'm someone who uses the wide angle camera a lot, so I really like that Oppo has opted for the exact same megapixel camera with the wide and main camera. That means for the most part, image quality is going to remain somewhat consistent across the two lenses. That's something that Samsung phones and Apple phones do not do. Like on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the wide angle camera looks great during the day when you're not zooming in, but as soon as you crop in a little, you see very soft details, and at night the wide angle camera just falls apart. The Oppo Find X2's wide angle camera keeps up the main camera a lot better than on the iPhone, on the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro, on the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Ultimately, this is a trick that Huawei pioneered last year with the Mate 30 Pro, where the wide lens and the main lens are basically almost identical in quality. Now the main camera here is really good too because it has a really large image sensor. That's among the largest in the industry. I think it's number 3 right now, behind the S20 Ultra and the Huawei P40 Pro, but that means the Oppo Find X2's night performance is really good. Just look at these samples right here. And the periscope zoom lens, which I said earlier was a 12 megapixel, I made a mistake, it's actually 13 megapixel, allows you to get up to 60 times digital zoom, which as you can see earlier when I kind of was being a creep to that dude right there, it's pretty good quality when you have good daylight. Obviously 60 times zoom, when you really want to nitpick and zoom in, it's going to be slightly jaggy, so it's better you shoot at 10 or 20x. At 10 or 20x, it's really damn good quality. At 10x, I would say it's almost lossless, and the 20x is still very usable. You can post it on Instagram and you're probably not going to get many complaints. In fact, I think the Oppo Find X2 Pro's zoom lens is slightly ahead of the Huawei P40 Pro's zoom lens overall, as you can see from these samples here at 50x. Video recording is really good too, as you can see from this sample here. I can switch between the wide angle lens and the 1x lens, and even zoom mode up to 5x, whatever. And the switch is mostly fluid. It's not too choppy, and stabilization is really good. So in terms of camera performance, I'm very satisfied with the Oppo Find X2 Pro. But ultimately, my favorite part of this phone is the screen. You have a really tiny hole punch housing a 32 megapixel selfie camera, so it's almost uninterrupted display, and it's just really my favorite screen out there. It's 120 Hz refresh rate, so it's a little bit better than the 90 Hz seen in the Huawei P40 Pro or the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro. And Quad HD resolution is just really nice. But to be honest, if you keep it at 120 Hz and Quad HD resolution, battery life on this is going to be hit pretty bad. So what I've done is lowered resolution down to 1080p, which is still really sharp to my eyes. And once you do that, battery life becomes really good. Let me show you right now. So right now my phone is at 46% battery life. And as you see at the screen on time, I've been using the screen for 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 37 minutes. Still at 46%. So that means in theory I should be able to get almost 7 hours of screen on time with this phone under heavy use with 120 Hz refresh rate on. So no complaints whatsoever. Okay, I had to bring the review inside because there were some old ladies at the park that were just getting way too loud. So we'll look at software really quick. This one's Android 10 with ColorOS 7 on top. I've already made like 5 or 6 videos talking about how much I like ColorOS. It's very clean, it's very minimal. You have options like double tap to turn on the screen, draw a circle to turn on the camera, like off-screen gestures that mix using the phone easily. The face unlock works great. Fingerprint reader is fast and accurate. I like the always on display. It looks pretty aesthetically pleasing to me. So overall, no complaints about the software. This is my second favorite Android skin now, behind Oxygen OS. My only complaint is the one-hand mode is a little bit hard to trigger. The only way to trigger the one-hand mode when you're using swipe gestures is to pull down the shade and tap on the one-hand icon right here. There's no other way to trigger one-hand mode that I know of. Other phones will have some type of swipe gestures. You cannot do that here, so you have to do it via the notification shade. There are other convenience tools right here, like off-screen gestures. You can set more of them if you like. They're all customizable too, so you can set draw an M to start an app, and you can pick an app right here. So in theory, you can draw an M to launch Facebook or Instagram, whatever you'd like. So overall, the Find X2 Pro is a pretty complete package. The only thing missing here is really wireless charging, and even then I don't miss it that much because the wired charging is so good. This one supports 65 watt Super VOOC 2.0 fast charging. Otherwise, this is IP68 water resistance. You have a really good set of stereo speakers. So yeah, really good set of stereo speakers, really beautiful screen. I mean, what more can you ask for in a flagship in 2020? And that is why, after using the flurry of phones that hit the market, my SIM card went back to the Oppo Find X2 Pro, because this to me is the most polished device that doesn't have one glaring flaw. Anyway, that about wraps it up for my final review of the Oppo Find X2 Pro. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. I kind of need the help because I lost a little bit of income recently. So yeah, anyway, stay healthy, take care. Thanks for watching.